Ever wondered why the US discards nearly $800 million worth of aluminum cans each year? Aluminum is one of the most recyclable metals on Earth, saving incredible amounts of energy and resources. So why does so much end up in landfills? Well, let's uncover the surprising reasons behind this costly waste. Aluminum is often hailed as one of the most sustainable materials on the planet. It's lightweight, durable, and perhaps most importantly, endlessly recyclable. Unlike plastic, which degrades in quality every time it's recycled, aluminum can be melted down and reformed into new products repeatedly without losing its properties. And yet, each year in the United States alone, millions of aluminum cans are thrown away, costing the economy around $800 million. This waste isn't just a financial loss, it's a significant environmental problem as well. So why does this waste persist? What's holding back America from fully embracing aluminum recycling? First, let's talk about the scale of this issue. According to the Aluminum Association, the US recycles about 50% of aluminum cans, but that means that the other half ends up as waste, roughly 45 billion cans per year. Those are cans that could have been recycled, saving up to 95% of the energy it would take to produce new cans from scratch. Recycling a single aluminum can save enough energy to power a television for 3 hours. When you add up the impact of billions of cans, the potential energy saving becomes staggering. It's clear that improving recycling rates could yield enormous benefits, both environmentally and economically. The environmental and economic benefits of recycling are well documented, yet this huge potential is lost when cans end up in landfills. Not only does each discarded can mean wasted energy, but it also represents a missed chance to reduce pollution. Aluminum recycling doesn't just save energy, it reduces greenhouse gas emissions, which are a key factor in climate change. In fact, for every ton of aluminum that's recycled, about 9 tons of CO2 emissions are avoided. With millions of tons of aluminum being wasted each year, the impact on the environment is profound. So by recycling more cans, the US could take a significant step towards its sustainability and climate goals. So why doesn't the US recycle more aluminum cans? One of the primary reasons is that recycling systems in the US are incredibly fragmented. Unlike countries with nationalized recycling programs, the US relies on local governments and private companies to manage recycling. This means that recycling programs vary widely from one city or county to the next. In some states, like California or Oregon, there are bottle deposit laws that encourage people to recycle cans in exchange for a small refund. These laws are known as bottle bills and have shown to significantly increase recycling rates because they give people a direct financial incentive. However, only a handful of states have these programs, and in the rest of the country, recycling may not be as accessible or incentivized. Another challenge is the lack of consistent public education around recycling. Many people don't fully understand how to recycle properly or why it's so crucial, leading to issues like contamination in recycling bins. For example, if an aluminum can is mixed with leftover food or liquid, it may end up contaminating other recyclables, like paper or cardboard, rendering the whole batch unusable. Education campaigns that teach people how to prepare items for recycling, like rinsing cans, could go a long way towards reducing contamination. Clear labeling and signage on bins in public spaces could also help, as many people are simply unsure of what can or can't be recycled. Additionally, there is a major issue with consumer awareness and convenience. Many Americans simply don't realize the impact of tossing an aluminum can into the trash. In places where curbside recycling isn't available, recycling can become a hassle, requiring people to bring their cans to a recycling center. Even when curbside recycling is available, contamination, when recyclable materials get mixed with food waste or non-recyclable items, is a common problem. If a batch of recycling is too contaminated, it may end up in the landfill instead. So despite good intentions, people may inadvertently contribute to the problem simply by not knowing or understanding how to recycle properly. There's also the economic side to consider. Aluminum market prices can fluctuate, and when prices are low, it may not be financially worthwhile for recycling companies to collect and process aluminum. Recycling, after all, involves costs: collecting, sorting, and transporting materials to recycling facilities. In some cases, these costs can outweigh the profit from selling the recycled aluminum, especially in rural or less populated areas where collection costs are higher. When aluminum prices are down, some facilities may choose to prioritize other materials or cut back on operations, resulting in more cans being sent to landfills. In rural and less populated areas, transportation costs present another major hurdle. Recycling centers in these regions often have to cover larger distances to collect aluminum, and the transportation expenses can add up quickly, especially when fuel prices are high. These costs can discourage local recycling programs from prioritizing aluminum, even though it's one of the most recyclable materials. Expanding infrastructure to make recycling more efficient in these areas, such as establishing more local collection points, could help reduce costs and encourage recycling. Improved logistics could make recycling financially viable for communities that currently struggle to participate. So what happens to all these cans when they're not recycled? Most of them end up in landfills. While modern landfills are designed to contain waste, aluminum cans in these sites are essentially lost resources, buried and left unused. This is a huge waste of potential. Producing aluminum from raw bauxite ore requires a significant amount of energy, not to mention the environmental impact of mining. When cans are buried in landfills instead of recycled, it means more bauxite is needed to be mined, more energy is used, and more greenhouse gases are emitted. Recycling aluminum, by contrast, uses only about 5% of the energy required to produce new aluminum from ore. The environmental costs don't stop there. Mining bauxite, the primary source of aluminum, is an intensive process that often leads to deforestation, soil erosion, and water pollution. Areas where bauxite mining occurs, such as parts of Australia and Brazil, see significant environmental degradation as a result. By not recycling aluminum, the demand for new bauxite remains high, perpetuating the cycle of resource depletion and environmental harm. Every can that's recycled helps reduce the need for mining and lessens the environmental footprint of aluminum production. Additionally, bauxite mining can have serious social consequences for the communities near mining sites. In some regions, mining operations have been linked to displacement of local communities and disruption of indigenous lands. Water sources can be contaminated by mining runoff, impacting both local wildlife and the people who rely on these rivers and streams. By recycling more aluminum, the demand for new bauxite mining can be decreased, reducing the impact on these communities and promoting more ethical resource use. This makes recycling not only an environmental responsibility, but also a social one. So if recycling aluminum is so beneficial, why isn't it happening more? Part of the problem lies in the way that Americans consume products. With a high demand for convenience and on-the-go lifestyles, many beverages are consumed away from home, where recycling bins might not be readily available. People often drink sodas, energy drinks, or canned coffee while commuting, at work, or outdoors. And if there's no recycling options nearby, those cans may end up in regular trash bins. This out-of-sight, out-of-mind behavior leads to countless cans being thrown away instead of being recycled. Some states and cities have started adding more recycling bins in public places like parks, stadiums, and shopping areas, aiming to make recycling easier for people on the go. These efforts can make a real difference by capturing more recyclables that would otherwise be lost to landfills. For instance, cities that have made a point of increasing the availability of public recycling bins have seen improvement in recycling rates, especially for materials like aluminum. The idea is simple. If recycling is made convenient and easy, people are more likely to participate. Expanding these programs could help capture millions more cans each year. Another factor is that many Americans assume that if they place a can in a recycling bin, it will automatically be recycled, but this isn't always the case. The US relies heavily on single-stream recycling systems, where all recyclables, glass, paper, plastic, and aluminum, are mixed together in one bin. While single-stream systems make it easier for people to recycle, they also increase the risk of contamination. If non-recyclable materials or dirty items get mixed in, it can make entire loads of recyclables unusable. In the end, the enormous waste of $800 million worth of aluminum cans each year in the United States serves as a stark reminder of the challenges that face a highly industrialized, consumer-driven society. While the country has made strides in recycling technology and awareness, systemic issues from inconsistent recycling policies and inadequate infrastructure to fluctuating aluminum prices and consumer habits continue to hamper progress. Addressing this problem requires more than just technological fixes or small policy changes. It calls for a unified effort among industries, governments, and individuals to recognize the value of recyclable resources and the pressing need to reduce waste. By making recycling more accessible, incentivizing proper disposal, and fostering a culture that sees waste as an opportunity rather than an inevitability, the US could reclaim a vast amount of lost resources. This would reduce environmental harm, save energy, and help build a more sustainable future. Each small change, each can recycled instead of discarded, contributes to a broader impact. And if everyone plays a part, the US can shift from being a land of aluminum waste to a leader in sustainable aluminum recovery. If this information was eye-opening, like, subscribe, and consider supporting recycling initiatives in your community. Small actions like properly sorting recyclables, advocating for better policies, or raising awareness can make a big difference. Remember, every can counts.